Okay, today we're starting our introduction to trigonometric ratios. Trigonometric ratio is the ratio of the lengths of the sides of a right triangle, all related to acute angles. So the three most common ones we're going to be looking at are sine, cosine, and tangent. Here, we're going to be looking using A right here. And it says our trigonometric ratio, our abbreviation. To abbreviate this, you just put SIN A. The sine of A is SIN-A. The cosine is going to be COS of A. And then tangent is TAN. A definition for each of these, the way we like to think about these things, are sine. The sine is going to be the adjacent side, compared to the hypotenuse. Cosine is going to be the opposite side. That's backwards. That ain't going to work. Cosines are connected. Oh my goodness. Let's try this again. The sine is going to be the opposite side compared to the hypotenuse. And the cosine is the adjacent, because cosine is connected. Adjacent. Compared to the hypotenuse. Boy, that's a tough one to spell sometimes. Hypotenuse. And then the tangent is always the opposite over the adjacent. And looking up here, this would be my adjacent side. This is my opposite side. And this one up here is the hypotenuse. So my ratios are going to be for sine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so that's going to be D over F. The cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, so that's E over F. And then the tangent is going to be the opposite over the adjacent, so the opposite is D over the adjacent, which is E. Sine, cosine, and tangent. So let's look at how we do with these problems here. So the first thing says, label the sides of our triangles as opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So here is my angle here. So the opposite side is the one here, so this is my opposite. The adjacent side is the one that's connected. And my hypotenuse is always opposite of the right angle, so the hypotenuse is here. For B, there's my angle, so this one here is my opposite side. This would be my adjacent. And then here is the one that is the hypotenuse. It's the longest side, or the one opposite of the right angle. For C, opposite side, adjacent side, and here is my hypotenuse. I don't know why I can't write a Y today. Okay? So here it says find the sine of A, cosine A, and tangent of A, and express them as each ratio as a fraction. Always want to make sure we reduce our fractions if need be. So here's A. So for the sine of A, I need the opposite and the hypotenuse. So it's going to be 5 over 13. Can't be reduced, it's done.
And you always, whenever you do either one, you always divide.
For our cosine of A, cosine needs the adjacent. This is my adjacent side. And my hypotenuse, so that's going to be 12 over 13. The tangent of A. The tangent Tangent, I need my opposite and my adjacent, the only two that I need. So the opposite is 5, the adjacent is 12, and that one is done. Example 3 here is doing the same thing, except this time we're looking at angle B. Here's angle B. So I'm going to do the sine of B. The opposite side is 12 and 13, so I need 12 over 13. Cosine, my cosine of B. Here I need the adjacent and the hypotenuse, so that's going to be 5 over 13. And for my tangent of B, and for our tangent, that's where we use the opposite and the adjacent. So the opposite is 12, the adjacent is 5. In our next portion here, we're going to be looking at using our calculators. First thing you need to do when using our calculator is make sure it's actually set in degree mode. If it's not, it's going to be calculating everything in radians, and calculating in radians will give us some errors for our solutions. So here I have my calculator. So my calculator, I want to make sure it's set for degrees, so I'm going to take and hit the button that says mode. And I'm going to move down here. This one, you would arrow down 2 places. Notice there's a radian and there's a degree. We want to make sure that the one that says degree is highlighted. So move so it's blinking and press enter, and now it's set in degree mode. To get out of the screen, you do second mode, and that quits back to our home screen. So now that we have it set into degree mode, we can now go through and actually do our calculations. This first one says to do the cosine of 41 degrees rounded to the nearest hundredth. So that means 2 decimal places. So I'm going to hit cosine. I'm going to type in 41 and close my parentheses and press enter. So my answer would be 0.75. Looking at my next one here, this one says the sine of 78 degrees. So the sine of 78 degrees, I press sine, 78, close my parentheses, and press enter. This one's going to be 0.98. Our trigonometric ratios. When working with our trigonometric ratios, remember to think of them. I like to think of them like this. I got triangles. So I have here my cosine and my tangent. They're all separated here. So I have sine, cosine, tangent. The sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is the opposite over adjacent. Remember these things. Pay attention to what you're doing. And as always, good luck.